We've basically been sold a massive foundational lie our entire lives. Society loves to tell us that the brain we're born with is the exact brain we're stuck with. It's like we're told intelligence is just this genetic lottery ticket you scratch off at birth, and whatever number you get, well, that's yours forever. But what if I told you that is completely, fundamentally false? In this explainer, we're tearing down that outdated myth and totally rebuilding your understanding of the human brain. Today, we are looking at the exact systems used by the greatest minds in history, because as a driven, modern thinker, you need to know that upgrading your mind isn't some sci-fi fantasy. It is a structural, totally achievable process.
Seriously, think about it for a second. What if your IQ actually isn't fixed? For decades, the standard narrative was that your cognitive ceiling was permanently locked in at age 18, maybe 25, or even 50. But modern neuroscience and historical data have completely shattered that idea. Intelligence is not a locked vault. It's a highly neuroplastic engine, and the way you drive that engine entirely dictates its horsepower. Okay, let's dive into this. Albert Einstein was actually considered a slow child. His teachers literally thought he lacked intelligence. Charles Darwin? He was a thoroughly average student who absolutely despised rote memorization. And Thomas Edison was literally expelled from school and labeled unteachable by his educators. No way, right? These are the exact people who fundamentally reshaped humanity's understanding of the universe. So what changed? Well, it wasn't their genes, and it certainly wasn't the traditional schooling system. It was their daily habits. They literally changed how their brains worked.
So that brings us to our first major shift. Habit 1, deep thinking without input.
Look, we live in this relentless hustle culture today, right? We are obsessed with constantly consuming. We listen to podcasts while doing the dishes, watch videos while eating, scroll our feeds while waiting in line. We mistakenly believe that intelligence grows just by cramming more and more information into our heads. But here is the massive paradox. The modern habit is passive consumption, but the genius habit, the actual way to get smarter, is undistracted thinking. To upgrade your processing power, you actually need to stop consuming and start thinking in total silence. Your brain only levels up when it's forced to process, connect, and synthesize information without a constant feed of external noise.
And hey, there's a literal biological reason for this, the default mode network. This is the actual neuroscience behind genius. When you shut off external input, this incredibly powerful brain system activates. It is entirely responsible for abstract thought, sudden insights, long-term reasoning, and true creativity. This is precisely why Einstein would spend hours walking completely alone. No books, no notes, no podcasts, just pure uninterrupted thinking.
See, Einstein wasn't just sitting at a desk, constantly crunching numbers. He vividly imagined thought experiments. He'd ask himself, what happens if I chase a beam of light? Or, what happens if gravity bends space? He let his default mode network run absolutely wild. So I challenge you to do this. Take a daily thinking walk. No phone, no music, zero input. At first, you're going to feel intensely bored and then severely uncomfortable. But right after that discomfort, that's when the real insight hits. That discomfort is the literal feeling of your intelligence growing. Which naturally leads us to habit 2, productive struggle. Nowadays, we're conditioned to just Google an answer the absolute second we feel stuck. But highly intelligent people, they intentionally delay getting help. Take Benjamin Franklin's grueling method to train his own mind. He would read a complex essay and then completely put it away. He'd sit there and violently struggle to rewrite the entire thing entirely from his own memory. Only after fighting through that massive mental block would he compare his version to the original and adjust. He was forcing his brain to retrieve, reorganize, and refine information under pressure. The absolutely crucial point here is this. Struggle activates deeper neural pathways than passive explanation ever does. Modern brain imaging actually proves this. Instant solutions might feel super productive in the moment, but they vanish from your memory by tomorrow. Reassure yourself right now, struggling to understand something is not a sign of low intelligence. It is the actual biological mechanism that builds intelligence. So before you ever ask for help or search for an answer, force yourself to write down your best guess, even if it's dead wrong. All right, moving on to habit 3, writing to think, not to record. Think back to school. We were all taught to write just to store information, right? To frantically copy down whatever the teacher said just so we could spit it back out on a test. That is literally the lowest level of cognitive engagement. But smart people write to clarify their thinking. Contrast your typical typed, perfectly organized notes with Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks.
Da Vinci didn't write neat little essays. He wrote chaotic diagrams, massive contradictions, and really deep questions. His notebooks weren't filing cabinets, they were alive. Recent studies from Princeton and UCLA confirm that writing by hand, making things messy, and mapping out vague ideas makes your understanding incredibly precise. Writing is simply thinking made visible.
So here is a highly actionable habit you can implement literally today: the daily thinking journal. Don't just write down what I did today. That's basic recording. Instead, ask your brain these 3 specific questions. What do I actually understand deeply? What specific thing confused me? And what idea feels unfinished or raw? Intelligence expands rapidly in the areas where your thoughts are rigorously examined rather than just mindlessly collected. Next up is habit 4, building mental models.
Now, what's really interesting here is that average thinkers try to just memorize isolated, random facts. But high IQ individuals, they seek to understand the underlying systems that govern the world. Billionaire investor Charlie Munger famously calls this building a latticework of mental models. When you build a latticework, every single new piece of information you learn has a structure to attach to. Your brain stops functioning like a messy junk drawer and starts operating like a highly efficient, interconnected supercomputer. It makes your mind incredibly flexible.
So here's exactly how this plays out. When you study physics, you aren't just learning equations, you are mastering the mental model of cause and effect. Biology teaches you the ultimate system of adaptation and evolution. Psychology exposes human biases and our blind spots. Economics teaches you the raw power of incentives. When you learn these core principles across different domains, you are forging the ultimate intellectual weapon. All of this creates what researchers call transfer intelligence. It's the ability to take an idea you learned in, say, a biology textbook, and use it to solve a complex problem in your business or your personal life. This is the exact secret behind historical polymaths like Aristotle and Goethe. They dominated multiple fields because they transferred frameworks. I challenge you on this. Every single week, learn just one core concept entirely outside of your professional field. Watch how fast your brain starts connecting the dots.
That brings us to habit 5, deliberate memory training. There's this kind of toxic myth out there that memory is just a natural talent. You either have a good one or a bad one, and memory doesn't equal intelligence. Wrong. Memory isn't separate from intelligence. It is the foundational engine of fast reasoning. Take Nikola Tesla, for example. He didn't just have a good memory. He possessed a deliberately trained, highly efficient neural network. He could visualize a complex piece of machinery, literally rotate it mentally, run it, and test it for wear and tear entirely within the theater of his own mind before ever drawing a blueprint. That is the insane power of a trained working memory.
You've got to stop treating your memory like some passive hard drive and start treating it like a muscle. Train it aggressively using these techniques: active recall, spaced repetition, intense visualization, and most importantly, forcing yourself to explain complex ideas completely without notes. MRI studies literally show that people who train these habits physically reorganize their brain connections, creating denser, lightning-fast neural pathways.
Now for this final, absolutely critical piece. Habit 6, protecting cognitive energy. We really have to talk about the extreme danger of our modern toxic hustle culture. Chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and the constant barrage of digital stimulation are literally destroying your executive function, which is the absolute core of your measurable IQ. The reality is, geniuses operated entirely differently. Charles Darwin, the man who fundamentally shifted our understanding of life on Earth, worked only 4 to 5 focused hours a day. The rest of his time, walking, resting, and reflecting. He understood something we have totally forgotten. Your intelligence does not upgrade during states of exhaustion. It upgrades during recovery.
So here's your mandatory recovery checklist to protect your cognitive energy. Sleep deeply. Move your body daily. Get actual sunlight into your eyes. And critically, allow boredom. Boredom is not a sign of weakness. It's not a void that needs to be instantly filled with a social media feed. Boredom is a biological requirement for your brain to consolidate memory and restore its executive function. You have to give your brain permission to rest.
To bring this whole explainer together, think about this stark contrast. Amateurs are out there right now trying to hack their intelligence. They want a quick pill, a hidden trick, some kind of shortcut.
But the smartest people in history didn't chase IQ points. They focused on systematizing intelligence. They built rigid, intentional daily habits that acted as a greenhouse, allowing their minds to organically and inevitably grow stronger over time.
So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Are you going to wake up tomorrow and keep chasing endless streams of passive information? Or are you going to stop, put down the phone, embrace the struggle, and start building your own system? The blueprint is right here in front of you. The choice of what you do with your brain starting right now is entirely yours.